Taiwanese chip giant TSMC reports strong quarterly earnings, but negative remarks by US presidential candidate Donald Trump drive its share price down. Taipei responds to Trump saying Taiwan should pay for US military support.
双方之间过去友好的关系，我们努力让它不仅维持，而且更能够往好的方向走。
Taiwan delegations at the US Republican National Convention pay close attention to possible shifting views. Plus, Taiwan's first Olympic canoeist gears up to head to Paris. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Ian Kavat. Comments made by US Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump have triggered responses from Taipei. Trump told Bloomberg he thinks Taiwan should pay the US for defense support, though Taipei already buys billions of dollars worth of arms from Washington. Reese Ayres has more on how Taiwan is reacting.
First, the Premier, and now Taiwan's Foreign Affairs Ministry weighing in on comments made by US Republican nominee Donald Trump in an interview with Bloomberg published this Tuesday. When asked if he would defend Taiwan against China, Trump said Taiwan should pay for US defense, leading Taiwan's Premier to say this.
双方之间过去友好的关系，我们努力 让它不仅维持，而且更能够往好的方向走。双方之间对于台海、印太地区共同的责任，我们愿意付出更多的责任，这是在防卫我们自己，保障我们的安全。
And Taiwan's Foreign Affairs Ministry had this to say.
在过去，不管是民主党政府或是共和党政府，都是很确实的依据《台湾关系法》还有6项保证，履行对台湾的安全承诺。 那台湾其实也一直透过对美军购来加强我们的自我防卫能力。
While Taiwan seems quick to defend the strength of the two countries' relations, Trump's comments are a little surprising, considering Taiwan spent over $18 billion on US military equipment during Trump's term as president, something the US State Department has also reiterated. Those comments from the Premier and the Foreign Ministry both allude to Taiwan strengthening its own capabilities. This year, Taiwan is spending 2.5% of its gross domestic product on defence, the highest figure ever, and has been investing heavily in domestically made military equipment and training. Taiwan's recent efforts to become more self-sufficient militarily could be crucial moving forwards, as reliance on a possible Trump-administered US for defense support feels a little less certain. Ryan Wu and Reese Ayres in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwanese chipmaker TSMC has reported another strong quarterly earnings, beating market expectations. But earlier, signs of investor concerns with Taiwan's chip stocks dipping after Donald Trump made negative remarks about Taiwan and its chip industry. Joyce Tsang joins us now live in the studio with more. Joyce, what's the main takeaway from TSMC's latest performance numbers?
Well, at TSMC's earnings meeting, the company posted $7.6 billion in net profits for its second quarter. That's a strong increase of 36% from the same time last year. Now, this also beats market expectations, which analysts had already given a high estimation of around $7.3 billion. Now, TSMC says this is thanks to strong smartphone and also AI-related demand. Now that AI applications have come into personal computers, we're starting to see firms like TSMC reap the benefits of their bets and investments on this trend. At the same time, though, given these advancements, the firm's head, C.C. Wei, said that customers are indeed wanting TSMC's most cutting-edge nodes, and those are not even in mass production yet. Now, Wei says the capacity for those chips right now is quite frankly tight, but that they are on track to reach volume production in the next couple of years, and that they are working hard to meet these demands.
Now, as we heard from Reese, former US President Trump in recent days spoke negatively of Taiwan's semiconductor industry, telling Bloomberg that Taiwan stole the United States chips business. We've seen TSMC stocks take a hit from those comments. Can you walk us through what happened there and what we expect next?
Well, it was a rocky day for the chips industry here, but also worldwide, with the stocks of major chip firms dropping off the back of Trump's comments. As you mentioned there, in the former U.S. President Donald Trump reiterating his previous stance and saying, quote, that Taiwan took about 100% of the United States' chips business. Now, if you look at the numbers here, TSMC closed around 2.5% down here in Taipei in Thursday's trade, and across the globe in Wednesday's trade in the US, Europe, today's trade here in Japan, other chip heavy hitters also significantly down. Now, earlier I spoke to a semiconductor analyst about what a potential Trump presidency could mean for Taiwan's tech industry.
I just don't really see a motivation for a hypothetical President Trump next year to put pressure on Taiwan the way he claims he wants to. There's no advantage for the United States. Quite the contrary. I think that the United States economy and Taiwan, especially on the chip side, and especially when you think about the importance of U.S. leadership in the AI space, is kind of contingent on a healthy relationship with Taiwan. Serious investors should look at the markets, at the opportunity, at the demand pipeline, at the trajectory, and again, all of these fundamentals are extremely, extremely strong.
Now, as you heard there, given how strong the momentum is in the AI market, chip analysts aren't too concerned that this tumble in stocks will slow down the pace of the chips industry.
Thanks for that update, Joyce. J.D. Vance has accepted the U.S. Republican Party's nomination for vice president.
And so tonight, Mr. Chairman, I stand here humbled, and I'm overwhelmed with gratitude to say I officially accept your nomination to be Vice President of the United States of America.
In a speech at the Republican National Convention in Wisconsin, Vance echoed Donald Trump's America First rhetoric on economic and foreign policy. He criticized trade deals with China and Mexico and said U.S. allies cannot rely on American generosity for protection. The 39-year-old senator from Ohio also spoke about his working-class roots and climbed to high-level politics. A Taiwanese delegation is at the Republican National Convention in the U.S., with all three major parties represented. As Vance reports, all are watching closely for possible shifts in Republican attitudes toward Taiwan's defense.
As Republicans from across the U.S. gather in Milwaukee, a delegation from Taiwan is watching the proceedings closely. Despite their sometimes fierce rivalry at home, members of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party and opposition Kuomintang and Taiwan People's Party are all on the scene with a common goal: to see what a party that could field the next U.S. president is thinking about Taiwan.
所有初选里面重要的竞争对手都来展现说共和党整个团结。那川普礼拜四的演说我们会很关注，那这个也是涉及到共和党未来这个团结气势跟选情。
基本上我们对于民主党、共和党两党的沟通都是毫无障碍，所以我们今天特别来这个党代表大会，就是希望把最新的共和党的政策的方向也带回去作为参考。
The U.S. is Taiwan's effective security guarantor, with frequent military moves meant to discourage a Chinese invasion. Under U.S. law, Washington is even required to sell Taiwan defensive weapons. This setup continues to enjoy bipartisan support.
No, I think the support that America has for Taiwan only gets stronger.
Okay, forever?
Yes.
But recent comments by Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump suggest ambivalence. He told Bloomberg Businessweek that Taiwan doesn't do anything for the United States and that Taiwan should pay for U.S. protection. Some delegates say they've gotten the message.
听到这个我们美国的伙伴有特别点出台湾在国防预算的这个困难，也希望我们加强的地方。那我们也希望执政团队也可以听到美国友人的这个一个呼吁。
There's one more day to go before Trump speaks. Whether Taiwan or China get mentions and what he might say about future policy toward both are things this delegation and officials in Taipei will be listening for carefully. Klein Wang and Vance for TaiwanPlus.
U.S. President Joe Biden has tested positive for COVID while campaigning in Las Vegas. The White House said the president had mild symptoms and would return to his home in Delaware to recuperate. The president told reporters that he felt good and flashed a thumbs up as he boarded Air Force One. He had been scheduled to speak with Latino rights groups before the diagnosis. China has suspended nuclear talks with the United States because of Washington's support for Taiwan.
中方决定暂停与美方商谈，举行新一轮军控与防扩散磋商。造成这一局面的责任完全在美方。
The talks between Beijing and Washington were meant to stop the spread of nuclear weapons. China has repeatedly warned the U.S. not to sell weapons to Taiwan, which it views as its territory. The U.S. State Department condemned Beijing for following Russia's lead in suspending discussions.
We think this approach undermines strategic stability. It increases the risk of arms race dynamics. We have made efforts to bolster the defense of our allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific, and we will continue to make those efforts in the face of Chinese threats to their security.
At least 16 people have been killed in a fire at a shopping mall in southwestern China. Videos posted to social media showed thick smoke pouring out of the 14-story building in the city of Zigong. Firefighters and rescue workers arrived around 6 p.m. on Wednesday. They saved at least 75 people and put out the blaze after several hours. Authorities are now investigating the cause of the fire. China is bracing for more flooding as torrential rains continue to batter the country. Torrential rain has struck the country's northern and central regions. Parts of Sichuan, Henan and Shanxi provinces are seeing record levels of rain. On Wednesday, nearly 2,000 residents were evacuated from the city of Baoji. More heavy rainfall is expected in the coming days. Taiwanese canoeist Lai Kuan-jie has been breaking records and boundaries, becoming the country's first Olympian in his sport. With just 1 week to go before the start of the Paris Olympics, reporter Wesley Lewis looks at how Lai is preparing for the world's largest sporting event.
Lai Kuan-jie is Taiwan's first Olympic canoeist. He has spent months gearing up to represent his country at this year's Games in Paris. Every morning before he even starts canoeing, he warms up with a 3-kilometer run.
就真的很不爱跑步，然后也不爱做那些有氧啊，有氧对我来说就很无聊。但是这个也是慢慢磨我的耐性啊，因为1000公尺最多的就是你要稳住。
Athletes like Lai rely on endurance training to reach new levels in their sport. His coach says he has made a lot of progress, but it's taken some time to get to where he is now.
研究大概半年或1年的周期，慢慢下去调整，然后到他状况可以进入长距离的训练，我们再带入一些课表下去，一直做训练到现在。其实那也不是短时间，大概花了3、4年才有现在的状况。
Lai says being the first Olympic canoeist from his country has put more weight on his shoulders, but he's determined to work through the added pressure.
也被到很多人重视，很被关注，然后会有点压力之类的。但我觉得，每个运动员都会面对就是压力。对，我觉得我们不能因为有压力，然后去失常。
Lai carries more than just the burden of his newfound fame. The athlete's mother passed away before she could see him hit this major milestone. He promised her that he would strive for excellence in his sport and one day make it to the Olympics. To this day, he still sends her text messages to report on his progress.
习惯这种对话，让自己比较有安心啊，怎样的。
After winning gold at the Hangzhou 2022 Asian Games, Lai got a tattoo of a lion.
这只是代表勇气，然后对我来讲，就是面对每一个挑战都需要去用勇气去面对它，不是去逃避，还是去放弃它。然后皇冠就是代表，就是在每一个挑战中，我都能胜者为王。
With just 1 week to go before this year's Summer Olympics begin, Lai is determined to put everything he has into competing with the best of the best in his sport. And as he continues to blaze a trail for his country, his fans and followers at home will be watching to see if he brings home the gold for Taiwan. Andy Xue and Wesley Lewis for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up after the break, 10 years since Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was shot down over Ukraine, calls for justice are only getting louder. Stay tuned.
enjoy the rich diversity of Taiwan's independent music. Taiwan Calling, every Sunday, 9:30 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. It's been a decade since Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was shut down over eastern Ukraine, killing everyone on board. But for families of the dead, the pain is still raw. Harel Hughes reports.
298 trees dot this memorial park outside Amsterdam. Each one represents a victim of the Malaysia Airlines flight MH17, shot down by a Russian missile 10 years ago. Global leaders and families of the dead are gathering here to mark the anniversary and remember those who lost their lives.
I lost 3 of my kids, and I'm 10 years further on in my life, and they missed 10 years of their life. It's so unjustified for me that I'm still here and they are killed by war action. You know.
The flight was en route from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur on July 17, 2014, when it was shot down. All passengers and crew members died, the majority from the Netherlands, Malaysia, and Australia. The crash landed here, in a small town in eastern Ukraine, where residents are also gathering with roses and toys to honor the dead.
Это больно. Жалко всего больше то, что люди. Вот людей жалко. Людей жалко.
Justice has been a long road. After years of international investigations, a Dutch court found 3 people guilty, 2 Russians and 1 pro-Russian Ukrainian separatist. But leaders around the world have accused the Kremlin of being behind the attack. Accusations Moscow has repeatedly denied. And to this day, no one has been held accountable.
Rechtvaardigheid vraagt om een lange adem. En die hebben we. We hebben de tijd, het geduld en het doorzettingsvermogen. Dat is mijn boodschap aan de schuldigen en mijn belofte aan u.
To mark the 10 years, commemoration ceremonies were held in the Netherlands, Australia, Malaysia, and Ukraine, with leaders renewing calls for justice. Meanwhile, the families laying flowers and photos are still waiting for an acknowledgement of responsibility. Chris Ma and Harel Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
A Wall Street Journal reporter says the newspaper fired her for taking a leadership role in a Hong Kong press union. Selina Cheng was elected to head the union, which advocates for press freedom, in June. Cheng said editors warned her that taking the role would be, quote, incompatible with her job at the journal. Cheng reported on China's automobile industry and said senior editors told her the dismissal was part of a restructuring move. Dow Jones, which owns the journal, confirmed personnel changes but would not comment on Cheng's case. A mayor in the Philippines accused of faking their nationality and spying for China is missing after Filipino senators ordered her arrest. Alice Guo, or Guo Huaping, is alleged to be a Chinese national who became mayor of a local town in the Philippines where offshore gambling operators thrive. These companies, known as POGOs, are connected to organized crime, including human trafficking and smuggling. To learn more, Gino Lopez spoke to Brian Doche from the Philippine International Studies Organization based in Manila.
So how did Philippine authorities find out that Alice Guo was faking her Filipino nationality and is connected to these illegal offshore gambling companies, or POGOs?
She was elected as the mayor of Banban. However, because of the recent raids against these illegally operating POGOs, the senators found a link that enabled them to investigate more. One of the personalities that were involved is Mayor Alice Guo. The discussion also shifted to her real identity, especially with the ongoing rift between the Marcos and the Duterte coalitions right now. There is a big push right now to link this case of Mayor Alice Guo with the efforts of the previous administration to welcome Chinese capital in the Philippines.
What impact will the case of Alice Guo have on Philippine-China tensions?
The first perspective that I can share with that is with the timing. The Senate hearings regarding her identity happened weeks or a month after a certain Australian report revealed that these agents are from the party, that they're being sent abroad to police the activities of other overseas Chinese nationals. And there's this insinuation that they are spies. That narrative was picked up by certain political factions in the Philippines. And then we need to understand or recognize that at the end of the day, pogos are actually banned in China. President Xi Jinping himself is clear about that because of, again, the social ills being brought by these firms towards the Chinese people.
Seeing that both the Philippines and China are working to stop these illegal offshore gambling companies, how can the two countries cooperate amidst intensifying territorial disputes in the South China Sea?
We need to approach the ongoing Philippine-China relations as a multifaceted and multi-layered phenomenon. So the territorial dispute that we have right now is only one of the layers. But I believe, as I'm seeing in the ongoing news reports and ongoing activities between the two states, that other areas of cooperation are still lively. The memorandum of understanding and memorandum of agreement signed between the two states to combat trafficking, etc., science and technology cooperation, and development cooperation projects. So in those cases, there are other layers and still opportunities for the Philippines and China to promote cooperation, especially with regards to issues that are concerned with transnational crime.
That was Brian Dose from Philippine International Studies Organization speaking with Gino Lopez. In a breakthrough straight out of 80s science fiction movie The Terminator, researchers in Japan have attached living skin to a robot face and can even make it smile. The skin has been grown in a lab and can be manipulated with attachments that work like ligaments. The team says the results can be unsettling, but that it's an important step in making more lifelike robots. They say the breakthrough has applications for cosmetics and medicine. To make results even more accurate and safe, the scientists hope to next add a circulatory system and nerves. Javanese migrants in Malaysia are fighting to keep an ancient mystical performance art alive, even as they face religious pushback. Rosie Gwinenger has the story.
Mounting bamboo horses, Javanese diaspora members move around to the beat of a drum in Malaysia's Johor state. These unusual scenes are part of an ancient mystical dance named Kuda Kepang. It's been practiced on the Indonesian island of Java for hundreds of years, thought to cleanse villages of evil spirits. And Javanese migrants have kept up the practice in Malaysia since the 1960s, using it as a healing process for dances and for celebrations. Facing bans on the dance here, troops are waging an uphill battle to keep the tradition alive, saying it bonds together members of their community.
Ada memberi kesan dalam hidup saya sebab saya ada berketurunan berdarah Jawa. Jadi sedikit sebanyak dapat belajar jugalah daripada asal-usul budaya saya. Dan saya bangga dapat belajar seni kuda kepang ni walaupun ada kekangan, tapi kita cuba untuk kekalkan tradisinya lagi.
Dancers have been forbidden from publicly performing in Johor since 2009 because it's associated with mythical spirits, something that is against the majority Muslim country's rules. A ritual invokes spirits to possess dancers, who then enter a trance, some running in circles, shaking, screaming, grunting, getting whipped, and in some cases eating glass. Some have labelled the dance disturbing, but its performers say it's not meant to be offensive.
mengganggu tidaklah. Sebab apa? Bila kita buat macam ini, dia pun ada guna ayat-ayat suci Quran juga. So bila kita mengawal diri kita, ada yang pakai suci-suci Al-Quran juga. So tak ada istilah mengganggu agama.
Despite the dance's defense of Kuda Kepang, the ban has made it ineligible for public funding, and it's no longer taught in schools. But dancers are unwavering in their mission to keep the art alive, still performing at private events like weddings and circumcision ceremonies.
Saya nak jaga kesenian ni sebab saya bukan takut, saya risau kesenian ni akan pupus macam tu je. Tak ada lagi dah, terus hilang lenyap. Saya nak jaga sebab itu adalah saya rasa saya perlu jaga ya, sebab dia dah lama bertapak di sini.
Only 750 troop members now remain in Johor, a number that's quickly declining. But dancers here are adamant they will continue to teach and perform Kuda Kepang, helping preserve the culture for future generations. Devon Sai and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, take a look at this sanctuary for birds of prey in Croatia. I'm Inka Vat. Take care. See you next time.